All right, so now we want to graph 2x is less than or equal to 5. Okay, well, graphing that as, x is equal to basically 5 halves. So that's going to be the 2.5, and it's going to be equal to, so we have a solid, line on that one. And we want x is going to be less than that. So we probably are going to be over here in this region. But guess what? 0, 0 is in that region. So we plug that in there, and is 0 less than 2.5? Yeah, it is. And so that's going to be the region. And again, it's two ways to do it. Choose that test point, and the other way is, well, if x is less than that, then it has to be over here. So x has to be less than that. So that's another way to look at it. What about x is less than or equal to 3y? Well, in this case, I would probably think about this as, well, let's change it to, if I was just graphing it personally, I would say, well, let's divide by 3, divide by 3. So y, and I'm going to read right to left here because I'm going to start with y, is greater than or equal to 1/3 x. All right, so that's going to be kind of how I think about that. So it's going to go through 0, and it's going to be a positive, and it's going to go up. So it's going to look something like that, and it's going to be equal to, because we have that, and it's going to be greater than that. So it's going to look something like this. Now, let's see how we do it this way. Well, we're going to graph it as a solid line because, again, it has that equal to in the inequality. And so that's kind of what it looks like. Again, close, not exactly. But now we're going to have to choose a point based on how we've been doing it. And so in this case, we can't use 0, 0 because it goes through that. So let's use 0, 2. Okay, so using 0, 2 is in the solution set. So we're going to shade the upper half of our plane. So 0, 2 gave us a number that was true, and so that was how we shaded it. Now the other way, when I did it before, we knew that it just had to be greater than that line, and well, that was the line, so it had to be greater than, so it's going to be above, and so that's how I did it. So those are the two different kind of ways to look at it. And then doing this, choosing a point, checks to make sure my solution is the correct solution. All right. What if we find the inequality with a graph shown in the figure? So this is a graph of the figure. And what we want to do is write the boundary line in the form ax plus by is equal to c, where a, b, and c are integers before we state the inequality. All right, so what we're going to have to do is we choose, 2 points, probably that point, and that point's going to be the easiest one. We're going to get our slope from that. And so when you do that, we get -3/4. And if we didn't get a negative, then we know we have something wrong because it's a negative slope. And our intercept is what? 0, 6. So b is 6. And so we get the equation y equals -3/4 x plus 6. Now, if we want it into this form, that means we're going to have to take, our x over to the other side, and they want it to be integers, so we're going to have to multiply also by 4 to get rid of that fraction in the denominator. And so that ends up giving us this equation. Now, what does this tell us? Well, that tells us the equation of that line. And so now what we're going to do is, we saw it was shaded below, and so we know that that has to be less than or equal to that number there. And so it's going to be below that. And now if we had got to the point here, we know that that's going to be less than or equal to that because it was below. And so at that point, it's still less than or equal to, because we're taking this to the left side. And so that's how we would get this value here. 3x plus 4y is less than or equal to 24. All right, let's stop with that. We'll come back for another one.